In part A, we needed to calculate the perimeters of both triangles. The perimeter is the sum of the length of all the sides. So a triangle would have 3 sides, so we would have 9 plus 12 plus 15. And then for the small, we would have 3 plus 4 plus 5. So the perimeter of the big triangle is 36 meters. The perimeter of the small triangle is 12 meters. In part B, we needed to calculate the area of both triangles. Well, the area of a rectangle would be the length multiplied by the width. And if you look at a triangle is just half of a rectangle. So if we know the area of the rectangle, 12 multiplied by 9, which is 108, we divide that by 2, because it's half of that rectangle, we would get the area equals 54 meters squared. The same thing with the small triangle. If you find the area of the rectangle, 4 multiplied by 3, which is 12, and take half of it for the triangle, 12 divided by 2 is 6, so the area of the small triangle equals 6 meters squared. In part C, it's asking what is the relationship between the perimeters of the triangle. So if we look at the perimeters, perimeter for the big is 36, perimeter for the small is 12. Well, if you see that 36 divided by 12 is 3, so you could see that the perimeter is also 1/3 for the scale factor, just like if we look at the lengths of the sides. 12 divided by 3 is 4, 9 divided by 3 is 3. In problem 106, you were given a set of coordinates and you needed to plot and connect the points. In part A, it says, what is the shape you created? The shape we created is a parallelogram. Remember, opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent or equal. They have the same length. So AD and BC have the same length and they're parallel. Line AB and DC have the same length and they are also parallel. In part B, you're going to reflect the shape across the x-axis. So I highlight the x-axis so I don't forget which axis to reflect over. And if A is 1 unit above, A prime is going to be 1 unit below. B is 3 units above the x-axis. B prime is going to be -3. D is on the x-axis, so D prime stays on the x-axis. And C is 2 units above, and C prime is 2 units below. For part C, you need to multiply each coordinate of the original shape by 3. So this is important because it's asking for the original shape and not the translated shape that we reflected over the x-axis. So we have to go back to the original shape's coordinates, and we're going to do it a scale factor or dilate it by a factor of 3. So all of these coordinates, x and y, are going to be multiplied by 3. 3 multiplied by -3 is -9. 3 multiplied by 1 is 3. 3 multiplied by -1 is -3. 3 multiplied by 3 is 9. And then we would do it for C and D. Then we'll take those coordinates and plot them on the coordinate plane, and you can see that it is 3 times greater here is A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. And we wouldn't call these double primes because we're reflecting this from the original. We reflected from the original image to get the prime here. But when we did the scale factor, we started from the original and we're going to do a different transformation. So we're going to call this A prime. In problem 107, you have the smaller triangle that is similar to the larger triangle. And you need to write and solve a proportion to find x. So you have the larger triangle and then the smaller triangle within the larger triangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this triangle into two separate triangles. And I did that here. Here's the two separate triangles. So this one used to be inside here. And I just broke it apart so you can see it as two separate triangles. Then what I'm going to do is create a proportional relationship. Small triangle to big triangle. And then I'm going to match these up with the corresponding sides. So we have small triangle to big triangle. So x to 8, small x, big 8. And I'm going to do that same with this one. Here we have a leg of this one. We'll call this a base. 8 small, big, 18. So 8 small, 18 big. And now we have a proportional relationship that we can solve by cross multiplying, or also known as the butterfly method. So when we cross multiply these, x multiplied by 18 is 18x, 8 multiplied by 8 is 64. This is multiplication. Inverse property of multiplication is division. So we divide both sides by 18, created the giant 1. So now we have x equals 64/18. So now I can simplify 64/18 by dividing both by 2. 64 divided by 2 is 32. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Or I could, if I divided 64 divided by 18, I get 3 and 5/10 repeating.